The testimony of Lord Arbuthnot this morning is significant because it demonstrates yet again how useless the government has been, how conniving and surreptitious have been the management, the bosses of the Post Office Limited. And when Arbuthnot wrote to Lord Mandelson, who was then the person in charge of business, he was the business secretary. He was asked about the sub-postmaster's complaints over the faulty Horizon IT system and what investigation had been taking place. And he said, well, it's not really our concern. We have devolved this responsibility. And Arbuthnot comes out with such a good line. He says, you can't hold at arm's length a dangerous dog. And it's one thing after another that he's explaining. He explains that that Paula Venables failed to disclose 16 cases that absolutely undermined the Horizon software. Every case taken to prosecution that involves the Horizon system thus far seems to have found favour in the Post Office, she has said. But it's not clear. Mr. Beer, KC, cited Maureen McKelvey, a sub-postmistress from Omagh, who blamed Horizon for causing the shortfalls and was acquitted of theft after a trial in 2006. Lord Arbuthnot replied to each case with, no, they didn't mention it. Lord Arbuthnot has been clear that the Post Office was deceiving, was stringing along members of Parliament in a bid to preserve its existence and its reputation. They knew that the evidence they had been given rose to a number of prosecutions that were questionable, that have been unsafe, he said. They knew that there were a large number of bugs in the system which they had not told MPs about. They were operating behind some sort of behind-the-scenes deception process, which suggests to me that they were stringing MPs along in order to preserve the robustness of Horizon, the existence of Horizon, and possibly the existence of the Post Office. That's what I know now, but I didn't know at the time, he says. Well, if we know it now, now is the time to be absolutely exonerating, absolutely paying back these postmasters and postmistresses, and then thinking about compensation. But that isn't what is happening. Instead, we're still in this miasma of legal half-life where we're talking about compensation, and we're not sure whether that means paying back the money that the Post Office stole, or whether we're thinking about compensating the victims for the time that they lost because of the Post Office's deception, or whether we're thinking about paying money to their families for the misery that was caused. And none of this is getting anywhere near who we're holding responsible. All of this is a nonsense, as I said yesterday, a pantomime. I'm surprised. I'm surprised the audience isn't gathering in that building on the Strand simply to hiss at the very mention of the word Post Office Limited and anybody who represents them. Because that's the way it's going. And God knows how Paula Venables will deliver her evidence, because it will be like the appearance of King Rat. And that's not the way to get to the truth. That's the way to find some sort of scapegoat. I'm not suggesting in any way that she is only a scapegoat. I think everything we know about Paula Venables' behaviour at the moment falls well below the standards that are acceptable. But it seems to me that there was a culture of deception going on at the Post Office. And that's not just about one person, that's about multiple people who were aware of the problems and were conspiring to hide them and were quite complicit in the persecution and imprisonment of innocent individuals. That's the problem. And at the moment, they're all getting away with it. Yesterday, one of the victims said, well, we were put in prison for it. Just like that. And these people, the Paula Vennells and the executives and all these other people, they're paid off. They're paid huge amounts of money. They're given honours, gongs. They're given other jobs. Is the top of our society so unbelievably blind and foolish and self-indulgent and corrupt? Dare I use that word? Corrupt. I think the answer is yes.